now gives me great pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker, Dr. Donald C. Sweeney. Dr. Sweeney.
Everybody doesn't mind me taking my hat off. Thank you. I want to thank President Samasi and the Board of Trustees for providing me with the opportunity to share in this exciting day. I would also like to congratulate and acknowledge my fellow honorees, Gail Carberry and Rick Green. And with Mother's Day fast approaching, I think we should applaud and thank our mothers for all that they have done to make every day we breathe a blessing. I would be remiss if I did not also mention to acknowledge our freedom and liberties relative to the atrocities currently taking place in the Ukraine. To the Nichols class of 2022, congratulations and thank you. It is indeed a privilege for me to have been invited to celebrate in your day. As a parent of a member of your graduating class, I think I have a small insight as to how special the Bison community of Nichols College really is. Nichols has such a rich history. In 1815, Nichols Academy was created as a foundational institution to educate potential leaders. In 1931, Nichols became a two-year college before then transitioning to a four-year college, and in 1958 with business administration as its primary focus. In 1965, Nichols College became accredited by the New England Association of Schools and Colleges. The college became a member of the NCA in 1966, and in 1974, the college received the authority to grant the degree of Master of Business Administration. Growth and student development in business leadership and mentorship, those ideals have always been at the forefront of Nichols College and this close-knit community. My, what this class of students and faculty have endured the past 2 years, is truly remarkable. I would venture to guess that a hybrid learning environment and a curriculum was certainly not part of the admissions process or your discussions when you chose to come to Nichols. Think about how much you have learned and how you have learned. All of you can now turn on your computer and pretend like you're actually going to class. Graduates of Nichols College, I want you to keep in mind 6 themes as I share with you some of my post-secondary experiences and my journey to try and make my impact. Bear with me, I'm a list person. Trust your process. Learn to fall forward. Grab a mop. No journey is made alone. Find your gift and grow your influence. And probably most importantly, enjoy the wins. Why did your professors hand out a syllabus at the start of your semester? You must plan and trust your process. All of you have started to build a strong foundation, but now you need professional experience. And trust me, you will encounter failure along with your journey. But that is okay. Just remember that when you fail, try and learn to fall forward. If you execute what you have planned and you have given 100% to your process, then failure is just part of aiming high and missing. You need to continue to learn, to work hard, and sometimes you will need to do things that somebody else is not willing to do. My process started with my parents. My dad taught math, and every day in his world was like a word problem. determine variables, what is the formula you need to use, and then figure it out from there. He always said to me, try to do things right and try to do things the right way. My mom, she worked to help put my dad through university, raised 3 kids, and provided unconditional love, which I am quite sure she learned from her mom. Thankfully, they encouraged and supported my brother, sister, and me to pursue our own passions. Remember, no journey is made alone. Does everyone here know of the legacy of the 1980 Miracle on Ice gold medal hockey team? Led by Winthrop, Mass native Mike Eruzione as the captain. Well, you may not know that Jack Corain, a Brookline native, was captain of the 1960 U.S. Olympic hockey team when they won the gold medal in Squaw Valley. Jack was also a soldier, and he was a dedicated firefighter in Brookline when he took unpaid leave to captain the Squaw Valley team. I was fortunate to spend 4 years working in the Bright Hockey Center for Jack when I attended Harvard. I learned how to make the ice, coincidentally where we are in DCU Center. I learned how to paint the lines that me and my teammates skated on every day. I mainly helped Jack clean the locker rooms and stalls and mop the floors. As I was collecting my thoughts for today, I somehow remembered that Jack always had 2 mops. I guess it sounds funny to introduce that fact, but it reminded me of the story about the legendary UCLA basketball coach, John Wooden, who was known to have a broom in his office just in case someone wanted to help him sweep his own gym floor. Jack helped to harden me, and he remained an inspirational friend and mentor until the day he passed. Funny how Jack always had 2 mops. Jack became an extension of the foundation my parents laid out for me and my siblings, to understand that success does not come from luck. Life is not a linear path, and you will not get there by going alone. We all need support along our journey, and as you too may come to learn, your mentors, your mentors from Nichols College are like your own personal version of Waze. Aristotle once said, "You are what you repeatedly do, and excellence is a habit." Cliff Gillespie was my dorm parent, chemistry teacher and lacrosse coach at St. Paul's School. Cliff, nicknamed The Rock, was stocky, about 5'7", black belt in karate, absolute complete flat top haircut that he maintained almost daily. Something probably held over from his days in the Marines. There was 0 gray in Cliff's life, and he let you know with every fiber. Let me tell you a little bit more about Cliff. I knew very little about lacrosse when I arrived at St. Paul's. And then a stick suddenly appeared in my dorm room about halfway through my first year. Cliff had seen me play hockey that winter, and he simply said, "Don, I think I have another sport you may enjoy." As we all know, spring snow in New England can linger, and unlike Vendetti Field, the fields at St. Paul's in 1982 were not artificial turf. The lacrosse team practiced for the first 2 weeks of the season in boots to protect the grass and to keep the laces on our cleats as white as possible. Yes, we had to wash them before every game. Prior to practice, we also had to run a 2-mile loop through the woods while cradling a ball at least once a week. Cliff, on most days, could be seen beating the team to the loop and cutting a fresh path. One day, a few of my teammates and I saw Cliff stumble down a hill and slide face first into a creek. He quickly popped up, shook his head, and trucked onward. We couldn't stop laughing, and when we finally got to the field for practice, Cliff proceeded to ask us who had run the loop today. He somehow knew someone had seen him fall, and he wanted us to know that despite his tumble, he hadn't dropped the damn ball. Cliff wrote in neat, square letters, And on the special player game balls that he handed out after victories, he simply wrote one word: excellence, and then the score of the game. He also handed out these golden jockstraps for superior excellence. Cliff was a man who believed to get something you never had, you must be willing to do something you never did. A trusted mentor may tell you to aim high and miss, rather than aim low and hit. Jack and Cliff would also say, grab a mop. I haven't watched Tom Brady's Man in the Arena, but I do have Theodore Roosevelt's quote in my office, and I have read several books that have also referenced Roosevelt's inspirational words. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. But who does actually strive to do the deeds? Who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions? Who spends himself in a worthy cause? Who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. I spent 20 years trying to enter the arena, and then I spent 16 years trying to survive while inside the arena. But the harder part of my journey has been spending the last 20 years, trying to figure out what happens to the guy when he gets kicked out of the arena. I can tell you that not every player wins a championship. I can tell you that if you play long enough and reach the professional level, you do a lot of losing along the way. Thankfully, not last night. Why do I so vividly remember missing a shootout goal to lose a Christmas hockey tournament when I was playing Pee Wee hockey? Or the turnover I had when Harvard lost to Michigan State in the finals of the NCAA Frozen Four tournament in 1986. Or the shot that went through my legs between Andy Moog's pads in triple overtime of Game 1 of the 1990 Stanley Cup Finals. In 2004, our playoffs ended for the Dallas Stars. I had played my last NHL game. The lights went out. The NHL had a lockout, and the next season was canceled. I was 38, and very fortunate to have a healthy family and a supportive wife. And just like all of you, I needed to start to look for a new career. Remember, no journey is made alone. In 2005, why did the director of admissions, Jane Freed, hire me to her staff at Andover? A resume of 1,200 games doesn't exactly align with interviewing prospective ninth grade boys for admissions to a top flight boarding school. However, every reference I had listed on my so-called resume, and Jane spoke with regarding me, said pretty much the same thing. He hates to lose. He's so damn competitive. He won't want to fail. And he's got a strong work ethic. Tom McVie, one of my former NHL coaches, was one of the people that Jane had contacted. Tom described me as never being late for the bus. He went on to tell Jane that Donnie prepares, he shows up on time, and he delivers. He isn't that big, he isn't overly talented, but he's just consistent. Jane took an uncharacteristic leap and hired me. That year at Andover was an incredible transition year for me. I began to formulate a new process. I had new teammates. I learned to quickly appreciate how working in a profession from 8 to 5 was the real world and not the NHL. Jack applauded me for grabbing a mop. The best advice I received in the early days of that fall was from my boss, Jane, as she told me to learn to listen and continue to grow. Given that I had not written a paper or a report for 16 years, I sure could have used Grammarly. In 2006, I transitioned away from Andover and into a newly created player development role with the Boston Bruins, and I felt like I was being thrust back into the wins and losses. However, this new role turned out to be different. My connection to young players felt natural, and I felt myself tapping into experience from Jack, Cliff, and Tom. And I began to apply their wisdom and knowledge while growing my influence. For the first time in my life, I was trying to convince young people to grab a mop. Fast forward to 2011, I moved into the multifaceted role of player development, and roster planning, and contract negotiations, salary cap management, everything that comes with being an assistant general manager. And in 2011, the Bruins made the Stanley Cup Finals, and we were playing in Vancouver. I want to also mention that for months I had also been discreetly training for the Lake Placid Ironman. Why did I sign up for the Lake Placid Ironman in 2011? For the same reason a friend of mine, Eric Kapitulik, whose life motto is "We do one more," told me he decided to climb Mount Everest simply because it was there. And setting goals as a competitive person provides structure and a sense of personal achievement. New process, must be time to grab them up. I haven't really told this story to an audience before, and while it is mentioned in the Bruins tabletop book about the Stanley Cup victory of 2011, my name was never mentioned. So here it goes. I've been doing some long runs around Stanley Park during the early mornings when the team was playing in Vancouver. Beautiful run along the water's edge, city of Vancouver in the background. Every day, I had been passing this mermaid statue that had been placed on top of a rock not too far off the seawall shore. This mermaid had been adorned with a Vancouver Canucks jersey in honor of their team being in the finals. And it was clearly visible for every passerby. I knew our travel party had also seen it because they had talked about it at the team dinners and around the rink. To say the least, I'll keep it clean, the mermaid really rubbed me the wrong way. On the eve of Game 7, several other staff members and myself were allocating game tickets for the family and friends charter coming from Boston to Vancouver the next day. It was about 11 o'clock, and I decided I had a mission to complete. I grabbed a Bruins t-shirt adorned with us winning the Stanley Cup. I went to my room, changed into my swimsuit, and I threw on my running shoes. I returned to the suite and recruited one of my equipment trainers. I knew the mermaid was about 2 miles from the hotel. We set off on a run. I arrived solo at the mermaid. I was a little amped up and nervous as to how I was going to swim to the rock and be able to climb up to reach the mermaid. The water was a little chilly, but thankfully the tide was about right because when I reached the rock, the water level somehow gave me a chance to scale the back of the boulder and reach up to the tail of the mermaid and hoist myself up. Bruins t-shirt in hand, I redressed the mermaid. She was now adorned with the black and gold. My recruited partner finally arrived, and after I had stumbled down off the rock, scraped my shin, reached the seawall, he squinted to see the mermaid, helped me back up to the path, and we laughed and took a little more leisurely path back to the hotel. The best part of this untold story is that a small crowd had assembled the next morning to witness the mermaid in black and gold. And in that crowd was the head coach of the Vancouver Canucks, Alan Vigneault. Damage was done, regardless of whether Stanley Park workers had removed the t-shirt shortly thereafter. Competitive people hate to lose, grab them up. Bringing the Stanley Cup to my friend Jack Crane's house and in my hometown, St. Stephen, New Brunswick, sharing the cup with my family and friends remains the highlight of my NHL journey. Losing Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals at home in the Boston Garden in 2019 was heartbreaking. Trust me, that loss left a scar. Just tune into sports radio on days after every Bruins loss, the experts will tell you and remind you how my draft 2015 was responsible for that loss. But falling short and failing is part of every journey. Learning to fall forward is an important trait, and it can be learned. Dusting yourself off requires fortitude. Having a caring wife who doesn't dwell on the losses and a supportive family to pick you up reminds you you're not alone. Nichols College, class of 2022, what are you going to do with your talents? What are you going to do with your gifts? What are you willing to do to grow your influence? I believe that your 2022 class is part of a generation that must continue to help redefine inclusion and diversity. You are more equipped and more accepting. You have the courage to be different and more open to life. You have the skills to communicate and voice your opinions in mediums that older generations may be scared to learn or utilize. Graduating today places you at the doorstep of exploring your career aspirations and higher educational pursuits. Find your passion, create a process you can trust. Gain experience, don't be afraid to fail. Grab a mop and learn to fall forward. Grow your influence and attract people who believe that it is not about what tomorrow brings you, it is about what you will bring to tomorrow. It's okay to hate to lose, but please, find joy in your victories. Today is a big win. A big win. Celebrate it with your friends and family and mentors. Thank the faculty. Thank the people in your lives that help you get here. Learn from yesterday. Embrace today and prepare for tomorrow. Fall forward, grab a mop, and remember, no journey is made alone. I want to end today with a quote from one of my favorite books by Jeffrey Marks. When you get what you want in your struggle for self, and the world makes you king for a day, then go to the mirror and look at yourself and see what that guy has to say. For it isn't your mother, brother, or friends whose judgment you must pass. The person whose verdict counts most in your life is the one staring back at the glass. You can go down the pathway of years, receiving pats on the back as you pass, but your final reward will be heartache and tears if you cheated that guy in the glass. Jared, I am very proud of you. Congratulations to the Nichols College class of 2022. Thanks for allowing me to share in your win.